Hello and welcome back in what will likely be our final 5 impact players of the decade for Ohio teams, unless we go down to Buckeyes route here. The Columbus Blue Jackets, as always, our opinion on who are the 5 most impact players for the team over the past decade, 2010 to the 2019-20 season. This was one of the tougher ones. It really was, because there's guys like, Cam Atkinson, I really like, that couldn't quite get in there, and I could see him arguably being in there. And maybe even a guy like Rick Nash, as impact as he was for the Columbus Blue Jackets, he only played 2 seasons in this decade with Columbus, posting 67 and 66 points in those 2 seasons, both seasons of which the Blue Jackets finished dead last in the Central. Not to mention, one of those seasons was Nash busy requesting a trade from the team. That being said, face of the franchise for quite some time. Not so much for this past decade, though. Coming in at number 5 is Nick Foligno. The Blue Jackets had 1 winning season in their franchise's history before Foligno came to the team. In the 8 seasons Foligno's been here, there's been just 1 season the Blue Jackets finished below 500. Foligno hasn't been the flashiest player on the team, only posting 1 season with 30 goals and 73 points, but he's been a very solid 2-way piece on this team, and more importantly, he's been the leader of this team, the captain of this team, and to me, that holds a lot of weight. So Foligno's coming in at 5. Number 4 is Ryan Johansen. Johansen spent the first 4.5 seasons of his career with Columbus, and he was the real, I guess you would say, young promising piece you came to see when the Blue Jackets rebuild started to turn over. An excellent playmaker that made those around him a lot better, coming off of a 71 point 45 assist season. It felt like Johansen had face of the franchise written all over him, and then the Blue Jackets go on to make a jaw-dropping trade where in return they would get number 3 on this list, Seth Jones. Jones, admittedly, at the time of the trade, I was a little disappointed. Thought for sure he was going to be a solid piece for the team, but man, was I wrong when I thought Johansen was going to be the better of the 2. Jones comes to this team and instantly logs top line minutes for this team. A guy who I think, had the Norris not been a trophy awarded to the defenseman with the most points pretty much every season, had made a legitimate case to be at the least a top 3 finalist for the Norris on a couple different occasions here. Though he did finish top 10 in Norris voting twice as a Blue Jacket, making an all-star appearance, and I think this season really was an eye-opener as to how impact this man had been for this team. In a season where it felt like the Jackets couldn't catch a break, Bob gone, Panera gone, and then the countless numbers of injuries to key player after key player after key player. It wasn't until we seen Seth Jones go down with a fractured foot. God bless the rest of these D-men on this team, a very good core, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same team without Seth Jones on there from a defensive standpoint, and it was pretty notable. From December 14th to Jones's injury on February 8th, the Blue Jackets would go on to allow more than 3 goals, a grand total of 0 times. 0 times over that stretch. Jones goes down, they would allow 3 or more goals in 12 of the next 14 contests, 8 of which being over 3 goals. Out of those 14 Seth Jones-less games, the Jackets would only win 3 games. He's a true difference maker on this team, and I couldn't be happier to see he will be back and healthy for this series against Toronto. Number 2 is Artemi Panarin. It's very tough to put a guy who only spent 2 seasons with the team in the past decade on this list, let alone this high. But that is how impactful Artemi was on this team. He brought an aspect to the game that literally we've never seen as CBJ fans. A man that truly could make whoever you put around him a better player. A player who can truly put a line on his back and just go and put up points and put up goals. And that is no shot at anyone else he's played with. It's just a testament of how good Panarin really is. Panarin holds the franchise record for assists in a season at 59. He holds the franchise record for most points in a season at 87. He holds the second most points in a season for a Blue Jacket at 82. Panarin had the true elite player impact and is a huge reason that the Blue Jackets would go on to win its first playoff series in franchise history. A playoff series that just so happened to be a sweep of one of the best regular season performances by a team in NHL history. Topping off our list is none other than Sergei Bobrovsky. Sergei would go on to play every season except one with the Blue Jackets in this past decade, going on to post a .921 save percentage, a 2.41 goals against, along with 2 Vezina trophies over the course of those 9 seasons, and to this day remains the only active goalie to win 2 Vezinas in the league. There is no player who has had a bigger impact on this franchise than Bob in the past decade. Heck, maybe even ever than Sergei, in my opinion. He was a guy whose outstanding play kept you in games. This year isn't the first time CBJ struggled to score goals, but it was Bob's lights out play that kept the team in these low scoring games, that gave them chances to grind across goals to win games. It was no coincidence when he struggled in playoffs, the team lost. It was no coincidence that the Blue Jackets would go into the trade deadline last season on the bubble, looking in, almost questioning the Duchesne trade if that was even close to worth it, because they was on the bubble like they were. And you look back, Bobrovsky would finish the month of January, I know a little bit before the trade deadline, but he'd finish the month of January with a 19-16-1 record on the season with a .901 save percentage. From that point on, Bob would post a .930 save percentage along with an 18-8 record, and he truly put this team on his back. And it was a season we've seen Bob go hot in the playoffs. And again, no coincidence, they get out of the first round for the first time ever. 6-1 in the first 7 games of playoffs with a .937 save percentage for Bob. 0-3 in the last 3 games, .901 save percentage. And not to make this all about one stat line, the save percentage, but it was the true impact this man had on the team, because this isn't an overpowering offense. It really hasn't been for a while. I think we all know that. We accept that it's okay. You can win games without one. But when the goalie struggles, they struggle. They need the goalie, the defense to play at their best. And when they do, there are very few teams that can slow these Blue Jackets down. And we've seen that when Bob's been at his best. Bob at number 1. That's our top 5 impact players. Would love to hear you guys. As always, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.